Hey everybody, good evening. Boom, we are live. So hope this finds you all well this Wednesday evening. If you can tear yourself away from watching Mark Stein and GB News or any of the other brilliant podcasters floating around, you got yours truly and Jed for the next 60 minutes. So a warm welcome to you wherever you are, because we are streaming this one across many platforms. We're on the Getterverse, we're on the YouTubes, we're on the Facebooks, we're on the Rumbles, we are on the Odysseys, everywhere. We're everywhere, right? So there you go, folks. Who said hi there, Chris Davies? Good to see you, my friend. It's always a pleasure to spend a little time with you as well. Thank you for being here. Hello, Albert and Feisty. Leslie, good to see you as well. Chris Davies says, to be fair, Mark Stein is very good. Chris, I've been a fan of Mark Stein for about 20 plus years. Really good guy. Really good guy. He has. Thing about Mark Stein is that he's come along a lot in recent times concerning the vaccines and stuff. So he's doing some good work over there, which is amazing because, of course, GB News is Ofcom regulated. And yeah, that means you can't talk about stuff. So as I said, thanks, other people joining. A big shout out to all of you, to my good friend Leslie Butler. Good to see you, Leslie. To Gregulate, Stu, good to see you. Obviously. And of course, all the way from Hawaii, a big aloha to Donny Girl. Aloha. Good to see you as well. So yeah. Mark Stein is whip, says Iber. It is party time. We've got so much to talk about. And as always, we do the dance. There's always a dance to be done because, of course, we're putting this out on the anti-free speech platforms such as YouTube, such as Facebook. I'm looking at you. And we're on the free speech platforms such as Gettr, such as Rumble. So we are. What can I say? We're covering all the angles here. Now, what could we have talked about before we get into the main topic? We could have talked about monkeypox. Have you seen the monkeypox thing? And apparently it's breaking out around Europe, actually. Yeah, monkeypox. But we're not going to talk about it because A, it looks horrible, and B, I don't want to talk about it. I don't really want to talk about any more viruses. Hi, Jason, my good friend. Good to see you. So we're not going to talk about monkeypox just for a change. We could talk about our friends in Ukraine winning the Eurovision Song Contest. Wow, take that one, Putin. If that doesn't bring down the Kremlin, I don't know what will. Do you? I mean, seriously, is there anything more devastating than having a Eurovision audience endorse you? Chris Davies is pointing out another Australian cricketer dead at 48. Yeah, and another boxer died in the ring at 29. Hi, Vicky. Good to see you on the stream as well. We're not having no more monkey business. Monkey business. Anyway, that's racist. We can't talk about that. So we're not talking about monkeypox. We're not talking about Ukraine. Now, I'm not chatting about those things at all. So what are we going to talk about? I hear you say. Well, what we're going to chat about is the fact that inflation, whether you're in the United States, whether in the UK, whether you're anywhere, is going through the roof. And we need to chat about that and why that might be and what's causing it and what's the drivers and what does it mean for ordinary people. We're going to chat about that. We're going to chat about that Pennsylvania runoff between Dr. Oz, the Wizard of Oz, and his rivals. We're going to talk about that because it's interesting. And then finally, we're going to talk about the World Health Organization's global pandemic treaty. And a big shout out, by the way, to everyone who watched my podcast on that, which I think went out yesterday or whatever. So thank you. Hi, Andrew. Good to see you on the stream as well, my friend. And Blitzer, it's always a pleasure to see you here as well. Thank you so much. Yeah, we could have talked about Article 16. We could have talked about that there. We could have talked about an EU war, a trade war. Yeah, but as I said, there's only 60 minutes. There's only so much that we can do. Yeah, well, we are going to talk about the planned global famine. We absolutely are. So we've got a lot of stuff to cover. And remember, if you like this, depending on which platform you're on, make sure you're subscribed, because those naughty folks at the YouTubes unsubscribe you and have been. So yeah, hit the subscribe button. Whoa. And if you want to support the platform, you can do so through DonorBox. Drop $1, drop £1 in the hat, or buy me a coffee. Link below. As you can see, I've got a coffee in front of me. This is going to last me for the next 55 minutes, hopefully. So yeah, at the moment I'm okay for coffee, but if you want to get me another one, that would be much appreciated. Seriously, it all goes to offset the costs of doing all this malarkey. A day without yesterday says to me, what's going on in Sri Lanka? Food riots. People there are in serious issues. Simon Knight, also nice to see Simon on the stream, talking about some gas station in California have run out of gas. And now, I've seen that actually. We're going to talk about this. It's actually this brings us in to the first topic I want to get to, which is it's kind of 1982 all over again, folks. So I suspect that some of you watching this weren't around in 1982, but I was, and basically, I want to just if we can bring up our first headline. Let's cut to the chase. So look, the warning lights are flashing red. Britain teeters on the brink of recession after inflation soars to a 40-year high, with apocalyptic food costs looming. As Rishi Rishi, our beloved Chancellor, says he's going to cut taxes in the autumn budget, but just for business. All right, thanks, Rishi. That's really going to help people. So Rishi is promising tax cuts today. Oh, I'm confused about that. Confusion. He's wanting to cut to cut taxes in autumn, having put them up last month. Yeah. Do you see the problem with that one? Yeah. And he's also making it clear that the tax cuts won't be for ordinary working people. They're going to be for business, which is fair enough. It's being clobbered, but they should be for everybody. So apparently he's going to give a hint of in his speech to the CBI as we speak. So gosh, we're competing with the Chancellor of the Exchequer as well. So my reference to the 1982 means that UK inflation 9%. I think in America it's about the same. That's all false. I don't believe that. It's like double that as far as I'm concerned. But it was back indeed, as you see on screen, in 1982 when Margaret Thatcher was Prime Minister. Hallelujah. The Falklands War was about to start. Shipbuilding was in the charts by Elvis Costello on the same topic. And unemployment was running at about 3 million. Yeah, I remember it. Actually, 1982 was a good year. I enjoyed 1982. I enjoyed most of the 1980s, to be fair. But inflation was very high then. Chris Davies claims he was 10 there. You see, what a young man you are, Chris Davies, you see. Yes, Data77 says, damn you to hell, Putin. You've only gone and done it. Yes, Putin is the guy who's driven our inflation up. So anyway, so where we are on this one, okay, you're all age shaming me now. You're all telling me you were 10 or 11 in 1982. I just left university in 1982, wondering what was I going to do in this big bad world. And after all these years, I'm still wondering. But university's a long time ago, and I hate my old university anyway. Hi, DJ Sharpie. Good to see you on the stream, my friend. The man who broke the Truth Social impasse. So I need to work on that one. Why don't you email me, DJ Sharpie, the best way to get that American mobile number for you know what. Hi, Darren. Good to see you on the stream. So yeah, so I'm just reading. I wasn't even born in 1982. I wasn't even conceived in 1982. So Leslie says I'm looking good for your age. Hey Leslie, it's tricks with lights and smoke and cameras, you know. I don't look bad for being 110 years old though. So Chris Davey says he's off to Kiev to meet Bono and Sergeant Major Brigadier Professor Hartley Brewer on the front line. Yeah, well, I mean, absolutely. Although, as I pointed out, if you think Ukrainians really, like, if you think they haven't suffered enough, they had to suffer Bono and the Edge. I mean, that's a bit depressing for them. Anyway, back to topic. So we have inflation. Bank of England expects the annual rate will get even worse, peaking at 10.25%. Okay, I'll take a bet with you now that they'll get this one wrong. In Q4 of this year, so October, November, December, the price cap will be lifted again off energy. Energy costs will rise up, and people are going to be walloped. And in the meantime, there's all kinds of stuff happening. Yeah, I'm just reading all that we have on screen here. They're talking about boosting a council tax rebate. I mean, it's all peripheral stuff. Here's my problem with all of this here. The reason we have this issue with inflation in the US and in the UK is because the governments have created it. Oh, by the way, the Toyota 74. Yeah, I do follow those platforms on Telegram. I follow everything, actually. That's the problem. Darren Stimson says, all the sanctions placed in Russia, yet they can still broadcast their bull. Well, Russians, I think the Russian economy is doing slightly better than our economy. So take that, Putin. Not sure how that works. Can someone explain that to me? How does it help us by wrecking? Oh, well, Chris Davies, we can't go there because if we talk about things like that, we could get ourselves a ban. But I know what you mean. Back in 1982, by the way, Bucks Fizz won the Eurovision Song Contest with Making Your Mind Up. There you go. There's a sort of fact that you'll only get on this platform, right? Making Your Mind Up, which was, if anyone watched it, there was a very good dance routine to that. By the way, did anyone see the Eurovision? I watched the Eurovision Song Contest. It was awful. It was grim. It was absolutely so bad that the only country that had any chance, of course, was Ukraine. So anyway, so look, back to this whole economy thing and inflation thing. I fear that the Bank of England is going to be completely wrong. By the time we get to the back end of this year, real inflation will be between 15 to 20%. They'll be telling you, it's 12%. And by the way, a year ago, the Bank of England was telling you that inflation would go to 2% and then it would fall back. How did that work out, Bank of England, then? Did that work out okay for you? Was that good? Was that pretty accurate? Oh, no, it was completely inaccurate. Everything the central banks say is wrong. They get nothing right. Jason O'Brien says, how could you bear to watch Eurovision? Well, I found a couple of glasses of wine, Jason, made it strangely easier for me to watch it. Hello, we the people. Good to see you, my friend, on the stream as well. I just watched the Eurovision Song Contest for lols, just for lols. But Vicky says, yes, David, the government has definitely caused inflation. That's the point. That is exactly the point. They have caused it, but there's so much worse to come. Now, there was a couple of slides I wanted to see if I could bring up. For example, here's a cool meme. There you go. Gas prices, they're so high that even the dreaded Rona has stopped traveling. I did laugh at that one there, actually. I thought that was a pretty good meme. And ain't it true? I mean, the only people that can afford to travel, I think, at the moment are the people who fly around the world telling us that we can't travel. Darren Stimson says, I found sleep was better than watching the Euros. Globus Hysterica says, he's not watched the Eurovision since Lordy won. Lordy, I remember Lordy. Those were the Goths, weren't they? From, I don't know, Sweden or somewhere. Andrew Bailey, Chris Davies makes a good point here. Andrew Bailey is the governor of the Bank of England, folks. He gets 575,000 a year. That's what he gets. And as Bank of England consistently get it wrong. They consistently get it wrong. They cannot predict with any accuracy what's coming down the road financially. Yes, Blitzer, we need ultra double dark MAGA time. I'm not interested in ultra MAGA. I'm not. I want it to be more than that. Ultra dark MAGA suits me fine. We're going to talk about the States in a minute. We're going to get to Trump and all that in a minute or two, though. So stick with me in this one. Then another slide I wanted to bring up to show you guys in terms of what's coming down the line. Yeah, let's bring this one up, folks. This is the price of this is pretty much live data of a couple of hours ago. And this is the global price of wheat. And if you look at the chart, if you look closely at the chart, you'll see what happened in, well, March. You can sort of see, if I don't know if we can zoom in. Yeah, you can see, look at that. Look at that. Now, do you see the way that's massively spiked and it's basically doubled from what it was? Well, guess what? That's going to be the wheat crop that you'll be paying for in 2023. Okay? So you're not paying for it at the moment. This is the Bank of England and all others. They can see this just like I can see this. And if you can be bothered to search some of the commodity prices, you can see this incredible, we got Ultra MAGA King Cube. Yeah, good to see you on the stream, my friend. Thanks for being on the Getters. But that is what's happening, excuse me, in a commodity such as wheat, which is a kind of pretty basic commodity. That hasn't really, be factored in. We've got Matt here from Jacindaland, New Zealand. That's the penal colony of New Zealand, one run by Gau leader Jacinda Ardern, the charming, the lovely Jacinda Ardern. Words which are never heard in the same sentence, by the way. So that's what's coming down the stream. I don't know if we got any other thing to show you on the cost of energy. No, I think we have. I think that's pretty much it. But I wonder, actually, can I bring my compatriot Jed into the studio you see all that, folks. You see the huge prices that are rising. I got a gas bill today for February, March, April of this year, and it was double what it was for the previous 3 months, which was November, December, January, and it's still going up. So I mean, what do you reckon about all this inflationary pressure on ordinary people, both here in the UK, and the same thing's happening with friends in the States? What's your thoughts, Jed?
First of all, thank you, David, for having me on, and thank you for everybody turning up. And I do have a fan club, David. As you've seen this week on Gettr, I do have a fan club of one, but everybody has to. Every big journey starts with one step. Right. But anyway, it's by design. This is by design. So what we had, the world decided in 2016, the UK decided in 2016 that it wanted no more part in the globalist club called the EU. So we left. Trump got elected. The whole world went into meltdown. So what did they decide to do? Hang on. We could have a mysterious thing that spread across the globe from not from a lab. No, it weren't from a lab. It was from a bat that was eaten by a monkey, that was eaten by a snake, that was sold in a market and got on a plane, ended up in Italy and spread around Europe. And then they thought, well, that didn't work. So we didn't kill enough of those. So what we'll do is, I know, got it. A jab. A jab is brilliant. It'll save the planet. That'll save the planet.
Well, it did.
Did it? Did. No. Well, hang on. Officially, it did, David. It did.
Yeah, because we are on the YouTubes and the Facebook.
Yes, I've tried to be very careful, but get my point across. And, oh, damn, well, not everybody went for the ultimate count of jabs. So what can we do now? I know, we can starve them. That's what we can do. We can print money like there's no tomorrow. That'll cause inflation rises. That'll starve the population. There we go.
And
that's my bit.
But Jed, no, that's 100% right, because the money printing that's actually been going on from 2007, 2008, the money printing, but then it went off the scale in 2020, as you rightly point out, Jed. That's a major factor in driving the inflation. So whenever the Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey talks about, oh, China's going for a zero COVID policy, I mean, garbage, Jed, total garbage. Putin, he's driving it. Garbage. It's not Putin that's driving this. This is being driven by Western governments, particularly the United States and the United Kingdom. And why is that? Because they've put sanctions on Russia. That spiked energy costs. And I mean, I see one of the guys here in the stream, Darren Stimson, says he used to pay $140 a month for gas and electricity. He now pays $290. And Darren, I hate to break it to you, but by the end of the year, you'll be paying closer to $400. And Jed, here's my point. And this is for everybody in the stream. Give me your answers. I mean, how on earth are people going to be ordinary people? I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the millionaire class. And I'm not even talking about necessarily people on on benefits. I'm talking about the ordinary family trying to take care of their kids, trying to have a life, like especially maybe younger people. How are they going to find these extra hundreds of pounds every month? Jed, where's the money coming from?
They're not, David. You see, you don't have to find the money when the principle of you will own nothing and you will be happy, and then you don't need money. We're talking, the Bank of England, recently, and certainly Richie has been talking about, digital currencies. And we had on the podcast last Thursday, me and Adrian had a bit of a to-do over this, saying, well, at the minute we still have cash. Well, actually, no, you don't. What you have is a card. You have a debit card. You have your phone. And you pay by those methods. That's all electronic money. So the idea is you won't need money because all the jobs will be provided for by government. You will get your ration card to go to the supermarket or on your phone, of course, and you will only be able to buy what the government allow you to buy in the quantities that they allow you to buy it in. And then you'll come home and you'll sit in your freezing. Well, in fact, by that stage, it won't be a freezing cold house because you won't be paying any bills because you'll own nothing. You'll have no money. Everything will be provided for. And if your social credits drop, then you're cut off.
Well, I don't know. Oh, hi, by the way, to our good friend Republican Rocker over in the Getterverse. Thanks for being here. Jed, one of the things is that I saw that today, or may have been yesterday, Iran became the first country in the world to have mandatory digital ID required to get your food rations. So I put this out over in Gab, and I see got a lot of interest because I believe, Jed, this is part of the plan as well. If you engineer these kind of crises, you make energy too expensive for people, you make food increasingly expensive for people, then people become more and more desperate, and they desperately need, like in the States, for example, all you guys in the States watching this, you've got this baby milk crisis, Jed. Isn't it amazing? The world's most developed economy, and they haven't got bloody baby milk.
But why have they not got baby milk? Because they're either sending it to the southern border or they're sending it to Ukraine.
Yeah.
So your neighbours are better off by your government than you are. That is fundamentally the opposite of what your government is supposed to do.
Yeah, I know. It has to. Yeah, Blitzer says we might be living in cardboard boxes. I mean, the thing is, guys, that as well in this one, Jed, that I mentioned young people, but then at the other end of the age spectrum, you get pensioners, and the pensioners are on a fixed income, so they're seeing inflation ripping away at their income to the tune of 10-11% versus stationary income that's not rising. The government in the UK has broken the triple link. So we've got a government actually attacking its most vulnerable people, be they young people, be they middle-aged people, and indeed be they old people. And they're using an economic attack by inflation, which to my mind, I see inflation, it's just another tax. It's a totally destructive tax. But you know, it's one. Hi, Pauline. By the way, good to see you in the stream. It's really pernicious. And again, a shout out to the guys on over on Gettr. Rustin, I see you there. I see you guys. So yeah, I mean, so it is weird that our government would be attacking its very own people. But then, as you say, it's really the government following orders, isn't it? Really?
No, it is. But you see, they used to attack the working class. They were always attacked because it's been mentioned. Somebody mentioned it in the comment, and I'm a great believer in tax is theft, because taking money by force that you have not earned is theft. If I went up to anybody on this stream and said, "Give me your wages," or else, that is theft by menace. And that's exactly what the government do. Well, what do the government then do after they've forced you to pay up? Is they give the money away. They give it to Ukraine. They give it to the aid budget. They give it to the dinghy divers coming across the channel. They give it to anybody and everybody except the people that they stole it from in the first place.
Yeah, you're Jed, that's so true. And it's a good point to just labor for a second. Taxation is theft, and it's theft enforced at the end of a gun if you're in the States, or at the end of a court case if you're in the UK. You got to pay up, and it's pernicious tax. I don't think we should have income tax, full stop. And I agree, Jed. What they do is then they're taking the money and they're then giving it to people who hate this country within this country. So, I mean, I did a podcast today. I do that much, I forget these things, but on the fact that, did you know that the legal aid budget in the UK for criminal aid, which is essentially, Jed, for those, for example, the illegals who cross the channel and who are then convicted of, convicted pedophiles, convicted robbers, convicted of the most heinous crimes. There's £1 billion budget, 900 million, almost $1 billion. Imagine that's your money, Jed, my money, going to fund human rights activists to keep the worst of the worst in our country. I ask you.
It is, but somebody else again mentioned it, and it came very, very quick after the theft comment and tax. And they mentioned, you're better off on benefits. Well, actually, no, you're not. And I'll tell you why, no, you're not. If you have worked in your life, then the benefit system is not there for you. Because if you have worked, you either don't get benefits because you've got some savings or, a few pence in the bank. Or, I'll put it this way. Many, many years ago, I found myself in between work. So I thought for the first time in my life, I would go and sign on. So I went to sign on and said, okay, what's in your bank? And so I told them. And they said, well, actually, you're not entitled to any benefits. I said, well, why is that? And they said, well, you also get a military pension. And I went, yes, of course I do. Well earned. They said, well, you see, that takes you over the threshold. And I went, what do you mean? Well, it means you can't claim any benefits. The only thing we could ever do for you is pay the interest on your mortgage. That is it. I said, so you wouldn't pay my repayment mortgage? They went, oh, no, you'd have to change it to an interest only. I said, so you were quite willing to waste money paying interest only, so I would still owe the balance at the end of it. Let's say I never worked again. I would still owe the balance, and if I owed the balance, I would have to sell to pay the balance off. And they went, yeah. I said, so you wouldn't pay my mortgage, so at least at the end, I'd still have somewhere to live. They went, oh, no, we can't do that. Yeah. However, if you've never worked, and I know somebody not a million miles from me, and I won't say he lives across the street because that would be wrong.
That'll be a giveaway.
Who has never worked. Yeah, every night they have a takeaway, Christmas presents for the kids that they're riding up and down on the brand new bikes, etc., etc. He goes around in his shorts all day. He drives the kids to school. I think that's about as much as he does in the day, and then just sits and watches TV. He has a fantastic life.
Yeah. But there's a couple of great comments I wanted to bring, just to mention over on the YouTubes there. I see David Miller says pensioners get around £7,000 a year. Migrants have earned through their free accommodation, etc., 11,000 in 3 months and have contributed absolutely nothing. To your point, Jed, only even worse because these people shouldn't even be here. And then Simon Knight makes the excellent point that taxes were brought in, that's right, for 1 year to fund the Spanish War. That's right. But then the government thought, oh, this is good. We're going to keep this. And so they have. And it's the same in the States as well, by the way. You know, it's hard to imagine that, well, it's just outside of our lifetime, but, you know, within, if anyone was still alive from the turn of the 19th century, there wasn't taxation then. Taxation is iniquitous. I think that we should remove it. I don't mind if there's a form of tax on services and goods, then maybe that's a different thing, a consumption tax. But there shouldn't be an income tax. Absolutely should be a ban. But anyway.
But the thing is also, Dave, you said there shouldn't be an income tax. Yes, we pay income tax, but I think the biggest robbery out of the taxation system is national insurance, particularly for somebody like myself who is self-employed and who the HMRC are doing their best to force me to be inside IR35. So not only am I self-employed, so therefore I have to pay national insurance as an employer and an employee, but I also pay income tax. Yet I don't get any of the benefits of being a permanent worker. Permanent workers are defined by people who pay income tax and national insurance. Yeah. But I pay 2 lots of national insurance, and I still don't get any of the benefits.
I get that. By the way, we're being told over on another stream by the Toyota that tax in the USA was introduced to help fund World War I. Well, I've good news for you. It's funding World War III at the moment because, of course, the US has coughed up $44 billion for Mr. Zelensky and his effort in Ukraine,
which was much more than what was asked for, because the government or the people who take the tax off them in the US were falling over themselves to give them more money, David.
Actually, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, also, by the way, I'm being told federal income tax, good one, was first introduced under the Revenue Act of 1861 to help pay for the Civil War. So, yeah. So whether it's funding the Spanish War or the Civil War, it's mad. This is why I hate politicians so much, because they're all about robbing us of our money and then bribing us to give some of it back. Whereas it would be far better if we kept our money, we decide how we're going to spend it, and this iniquitous tax on our income is it would be gone. But anyway, it is. I see people are talking about Sri Lanka. Yeah, guys, I know what's happening there, but I can't cover everything. Unfortunately, not enough hours in the day. So anyway, we'll have to watch this inflation time bomb as it continues to cause us all kinds of trouble. And as you can see, my coffee cup is empty. So if anyone wants to buy me coffee, the link is below. Go to the link if you want. Well, I'm almost done. Or donor box if you prefer it. Now, we need to move on. Moving on, he says. And Jed, our next topic is going to be, if I'm right, it's about... Oh, hang on a second. Oh, yeah, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, because it never ends. Sorry, just to finish on. Fuel costs. I see it, Jed, with me where I live. Fuel prices are climbing up again. This is after the Chancellor cut 5p. Remember, the Chancellor graciously cut 5p off the price of petrol. Well, it's now more expensive, Jed, than before he cut the 5p off it. And I know in the
States, it is.
Yeah, and it's the same in the States as well. And this is because, again, in all these markets, in the US and the UK, the politicians are shooting us metaphorically in the head at the pumps. I mean, this is going to make it so expensive for people to go about their daily business.
But it's not just that, though, is it? It's all the goods that you get delivered, so your Amazon parcels, your delivery, your takeaways, the stuff to the supermarket, all goes up in price because the cost of fuel has gone up. And why has the cost of fuel gone up? Don't tell me it's not Ukraine. Utter rubbish, because the cost of fuel was rising well before Russia decided it wanted a bit more land, because it felt it was being invaded by NATO. But it was going up anyway. And why was it? You see, we can easily solve this fuel crisis, or actually, the oil producers can solve this. They can just produce more. But if they produce more, the price goes down. They earn less.
Yeah.
The only people becoming rich from this is the oil producers, so the Middle East predominantly, and the Treasury. The Treasury has raked in an extra £90 billion this year so far due to the high prices of things like fuel, not just petrol and diesel, but gas and electricity. £90 billion extra on top of what they were expecting.
I mean, I think for my American viewers, Jed, I mean, those guys over in the States have been used to pretty low gas prices for a long time. I remember the last time I was in the States filling up at the pumps over there, and it was like a fraction of what we pay in the UK. But now, as our friend Republican Rocker has pointed out, and as someone else pointed out, you're looking potentially at, guys, $10 a gallon. Which is still better by the way it was in the UK. But for Americans, that's a lot. This is the Biden economy in full on inflationary mode, isn't it?
But you see, if you go to some of the pumps in America, you'll see a sticker with Biden on it saying "I did this," pointing at the high prices. I think we need to do that in this country and put it on food and gas and petrol and stuff, and go. Yeah, Johnson did this because he did. You can't go for 2 years locking people down and then just printing money like it's going out of fashion.
You're right.
And not expect inflation.
No, we need to show. We Brits need to show a bit of the energons that the American guys do. I respect them so much. Now, there's a comment I saw over on the YouTubes. A guy called James Curry. James said, David, you hate politicians, but you stood for election. How's that work? Well, actually, James, the answer's in your question. I hate politicians because I stood for election and I discovered what the political class was like up close and personal. So you've answered your own question. That's the first thing I wanted to say. And then moving on, from Dave Richardson says, hi, Dave, read the email back from my MP reference global pandemic treaty. We're going to get David Richardson to the global pandemic treaty. I promise you we're going to get there. Jed, we might have to speed up though. We're going to get there. Right.
Yeah, no problem.
Moving on. I'm going to put some momentum behind this one now. Right. Stick with us, guys. Stick with us. You see, there's always elections going on, of course. And at the moment in the US state of Pennsylvania, we've got a race to be nominated as the Republican candidate for the U.S. Senate, which will be, there's a vacancy there at the moment. So what's interesting for me about this one, and by the way, if anyone joins us on our live podcast tomorrow night, or one of our regular friend, the city troll who lives in Pennsylvania, will be able to give us his insights. So if you want to join me on the myself and Jed as well on the podcast tomorrow night, we'll have a bit more in that one. But anyway, long story short on this one. So the story on this one is, well, we've got problems. Now everybody knows, Jed, and I have to remind you and everyone here that the 2020 U.S. presidential election was the most legitimate ever, and everyone knows.
Of course it was, yeah.
Yeah, because Joe Biden, massively popular guy, massively popular. Bad people suggested otherwise, but we won't simply listen to them. But so there's a race on between a guy called Dr. Oz, the Wizard of Oz, or maybe he's not so much of a wizard. So we got Dr. Oz on the one hand, and we've got a guy called David McCormick on the other hand. Now, here's the thing, Jed. Trump endorsed Dr. Oz, and I've got huge issues with Dr. Oz because Dr. Oz, number one, popular with Oprah Winfrey. Issues there. And a guy who's got, I think he's got Turkish citizenship as well as American citizenship, so he can't decide which country he wants to be with. And then third thing is, I saw several tweets from him, Jed, one of which was he wanted the CDC to be given money to investigate gun control in the States. So, not too keen about Dr. Oz. And I think, and again, Americans can tell me about this one if I'm right or wrong, but I think a lot of the base, the Trump base, did not like this endorsement from Trump. So, what's happened? Well, what's happened is people went to the polls yesterday. They still haven't got all the ballots. The ballots still aren't counted yet. It seems to ring a bell. And
when it's not going the right way, this tends to stop counting at night.
Something happens at 9 o'clock. I don't know what it could be. Something happens.
Fortifying, that's it. I knew there was a word I was
fortification. Fortification, yeah. Now, mind you, so the issue here is, and obviously says this, that you got the two. There's three candidates. There was three candidates. There was Dr. Oz, there was David McCormick, and then there was the lady, the proper. Kathy Burnett, I think it was Kathy Burnett. I liked her. I considered her to be proper MAGA, but the swamp didn't like her and they did a character assassination job on her. And now what we've actually left two snake oil salesmen. Dr. Oz, as Republican Rocker says, a snake oil salesman, but McCormick also big on Mitch McConnell and China. So another one. So I'm with the Toyota 2074. He says, I like Kathy Burnett. So did I. Trump should have endorsed him. So did I. And what's happened, Jed, is in this election, apparently it's too close to call at the moment. There's 1,500 votes between them. And I did see a tweet. I don't know if you've got it there, Jed, from, I think it was on Trump. Yeah. Let's just bring this one up. DJ Trump tracker saying, breaking, multiple Pennsylvania polling stations turned away thousands of voters due to ballot shortage, as well as experienced glitches for thousands of mail-in ballots. Now, Jed, we know 2020 was completely legitimate. Hello, YouTube. Hello, Facebook. We know it was. But there's an echo there. It's, and on a serious note, Jed, and this is what I wanted to put to you, we do know what happened in 2020, and if any of I know you guys have probably all seen 2000 Mules, so we know exactly what happened then. And it looks to me, Jed, that this could easily happen again. And in fact, it may be happening in Pennsylvania, and it could certainly, when we get to November, if they were able to do this, we have to be careful how we phrase this now, but if they were able to do it in 2020, I think they're going to be able to do it again. What do you think?
They've got away with it. So, if you have a trick that you can pull and successfully get away with it, then you'll use it every time. And that is exactly what's going to happen now. Wherever they fear that they're going to lose, then what we will have is fortification. We'll have stop counting overnight, and then suddenly when you wake up in the morning, the opponent that was behind will now be in front. And that is what fortification does. That's what 81 million people in the US voted for, except we know something different to that, don't we? We know there's 2,000 mules. A minimum of 2,000 mules,
I think,
like 54,000.
54,000, yeah, I think it's 54,000, and that was then. And they might have got they may have doubled up in that as well. Some interesting comments here. I see our friend obviously says that he reckons Kathy Burnett was pushed by Fox to split the vote for McCormick, and claims that she's fake MAGA. I don't know. All I would say is that a lot of people were not happy with Dr. Oz. And honestly, anyone who spends a lot of time around Oprah Winfrey is someone I think you probably want to check.
Can I just say, David, I know we've done a pre-record that's going out on your other channel tomorrow night with Ilana, with a brilliant guest. And those that are Republican leaning, Trump leaning, I think we'll find it very interesting. I think it'll be a good watch for them.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, just to say, if you check out our Rumble channel and our Odyssey channel, and also on our podcast channel, we've recorded an interview with a guy called Jack Kerwick, who's a philosopher and a professor at an American university, and he's got some really interesting views on the whole dichotomy on the GOP versus the Democrats, and really, the differences between them, if there are any. So anyway, watch out for that one tomorrow night with Ilana, Mercer, myself, and Jack Kerwick. And as Jed says, we'll be pushing that out. I think around about
12 o'clock tomorrow afternoon on Rumble, Hard Truth on Rumble, or the Hard Truth podcast on Podbean. Again, 12 o'clock tomorrow, guys. But watch it on Rumble. You'll see the video. A great interview. Well worth a watch.
Yeah, in fact, actually, yeah, absolutely. So, okay. So, Jed, I think, we'll watch what happens in Pennsylvania with interest.
Oh, we'll have Paddy tomorrow night, won't we? Who will give us the lowdown, actually on the ground, because that's where he lives.
State of 77 says Oprah spent a lot of time around Harvey Weinstein. Yes, he did. Strange that, isn't it? But I wouldn't want to cast any aspersions on someone Oprah Winfrey she's as much loved as Joe Biden. These are much loved characters, and I, for one, would not for 1 second impugn their reputation. Anyway, having said all that, we're going to move on to the final segment now. And Iber Stellar has reviews. Yeah, Iber, look, all points of view are welcome here. Can't say some of them out loud, mind you, because we're on the anti-free speech platforms as well as the free speech platforms, which is why all you guys really want to get off bloody YouTube and get onto the Gettrs and the Rumbles where we can actually speak our mind. But anyway, that being said, I wanted to move on to the final topic, which is a big topic. And, we put a podcast out on this, Jed, the other couple of podcasts on this, which is the World Health Organization's, the Global Pandemic Treaty. And I know it's got a big reaction. I've seen the numbers. Really, thank you so much for everyone who's downloaded that and listened to that. But Jed, there's so much going on at the moment. And there's so much distraction politics going on at the moment. So, you're supposed to, look at Ukraine, look at what's happening over there. Oh, look at the Wagatha Christie trial in the UK. Oh, look at, Joe Biden said something silly in the States. So you look one way. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization, right, has been busily beavering away in the background, and I'm sure you guys will be up to date with this, but they're pulling together a global pandemic treaty. And it all sounds so innocent. Well, look, we have to prepare, we have to be responsible. And Simon says, get a chat going on Telegram. Simon, I just so need to improve my Telegram channel. I absolutely do. I am making more of an effort. You'll see stuff coming out every day. Yes, Leslie, talk about the Johnny Depp trial. Although, mind you, what a relationship. But hey, there you go. Yeah, you're right. These are distraction things. Talk about Meghan Markle. Talk about everything but the fact that the World Health Organization appears to be setting up, Jed, what I see as a global power grab. Because this pandemic, if I understand it correctly, this treaty essentially will, for anyone who signs up to it, and Biden is wanting to sign up to it, Johnson is wanting to sign up to it, the EU will sign up to it. It gives the WHO, in the event of any future pandemic or something that looks like a pandemic or something they say is a pandemic, Jed, it gives them the power to say, right, we're going to you have to lock down. You've got to wear 2 masks. You've got to take vaccines. You must do these things. So I see this as a huge threat to democracy. By the way, Pauline Flynn says, I am on Gettr. Is there a link for Jed? Yes, there is a link. Jed is also on Gettr, so you can, Jed, I'm not sure how I think if you just explain how someone finds you on Gettr, Jed.
I'm going to put it up on screen, David. So here we go. Oh, not that one. That one. Jed Star on Gettr. I think I'm also, well, I'm not sure about Twitter, but I'm certainly on Gettr. I'm Jetstar. So please follow me. Be very kind. I'll give you a follow back. Thank you very much.
And a warm welcome to our good friend and supporter, Leslie Oles. Hi, Leslie. Good to see you on the stream as well. Thanks for joining in. So, Leslie, we're talking about, yes, this global pandemic treaty and all that it means. And as you rightly point out, they'll be having pandemics all the time. And I think, Jed, it's pernicious because it means that, I mean, I think the World Health Organization is a problem. It's a big problem anyway. But this is going to make it 10 times worse. What do you think?
Well, you see, David, I think you've missed the point there, because we're talking. This is what we're talking about, guys. But we're talking about a global pandemic treaty, but we're not. It's been missold, because inside this, I can't remember what article it is, but it also talks about health emergency. Now, let's take the word or the words health emergency. So, what can be classed as a health emergency? Oh, yes. Climate change, petrol and diesel fumes, air quality, all that can be classed, and it already has been classed as a health emergency. So who's to say the WHO doesn't say, well, actually, we think that the record temperatures this year, bear in mind there are no record temperatures this year, we are colder this year, for the last 2 years, than we have been for many, many, many years. However, that's beside the point. So they go, oh, record temperatures this year. So what we need to do is stop everybody from driving. And this is by diktat from the WHO. So everybody must stop driving. That's what it has. So it's not just about, viruses and things like that. Anything can be classed as a health emergency.
Yeah, well, actually, I agree with our friend Ricky here. Who says, David, we need to have the World Economic Forum and the World Health Organization declared prescribed organizations. Oh, amen to that one, brother. We absolutely do.
Thanks for the money as well, Ricky. All helps.
Thanks, Ricky. I mean, it's a doubly good point, though, that you make. The UN, I can see, I mean, I believe it's one of the biggest menaces that we face. And it's kind of its bastard offspring, which is the World Health Organization, and that's linked to the WEF. It's a triangle of evil. But here's the thing that worries me most. Jed, you're getting more of your fan club.
Yes, I'm getting a fan club, David.
Listen,
I'll be doing signatures and I'll be signing autographs and stuff like that next.
Yeah, next week it's just going to be Jed. I won't even be here. I'll just be a memory by this time next week. But Jed, what worries me is that this global pandemic treaty is going to be is being sold in the name of health to keep us healthy, to keep us safe. And so governments will ruthlessly implement it, and they'll turn around to their voters and say, well, hey, listen, we're only doing what the World Health Organization said. We have to be responsible. So that means that they can do whatever they want to us. And I saw somebody did point out here as well that, yes, Andy Bell pointed out here, the most sinister, far-reaching attack on a nation state. Amen to that, Andy Bell. You're certainly right. It should require a referendum, but I wonder what you guys think. We
won't get a referendum, David. This is, when I think if anything of this nature, just like when we joined the EU back in 1975, I think I was quite a wee young lad at that stage, but we had a referendum, and then obviously, back in 2016, we had another one, and we decided to leave it. Anything that gives power away from our central governments, there should be a referendum. The British public, and whatever country you live in, the United States, I don't know how, whether you have or could have anything like a referendum, but you could have a vote on it at least. You should have to vote on it. They should not be able to give your sovereign power to other people without your say-so.
Well, yeah, especially, for me, it all pivots around America. Biden clearly would become a signatory to it. And that means then at one swat, if he can do this, I'm not sure if he can. American friends can advise me, but to me that completely subverts your constitution. As Jed says, if the US signs up to the WHO pandemic treaty, then sorry.
You see, this is it. We vote for people to do what we ask them to do. So let's say the Conservatives say, well, they used to say we'll lower taxes, and the Labour Party used to say we'll raise taxes. Vote on it, tick, 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 boom, and we vote. And if the Tories win because everybody wanted lower taxes, or if Labour won because everybody wanted high taxes, then that's what would happen. Nobody is ever asked whether we wish to sign up to, and it's not a pandemic treaty, it's an emergency health treaty.
Yeah.
And that is the dangerous bit in the middle. So it's not just about viruses. This will be used for climate change and all those sorts of things.
Yeah, and yet, as someone's pointing out, I saw down in Australia, Scott Morrison, the Australian Prime Minister, he was quick to say, oh yeah, we're super duper behind this one. We can't wait to become a signatory to it. And we know that Australia has become a prison camp over the last couple of years, just like New Zealand's become a prison camp, just like Canada became a prison camp.
You see, I think Jason's right here, Jason O'Brien. You see, because being an ex-soldier as I am, if you're given an illegal order that you know is illegal, so when you go on operations, you get legal lessons, rules of engagement, it's called, when you can kill people, when you can't kill people, and they give you scenarios of when and when you can't. But I would see this as an illegal power grab, that the government does not have the authority to give our authority to other people like the WHO. So my point is, and I think that's a valid point, it's not a tyrannical law, it is an illegal law. They should not have and do not have the power to give away your sovereignty.
And yet, as Ricky points out here on YouTube, he says, don't forget, they signed us into the corrupt UN Global Migration Pact. That's right. Whilst Theresa May was deciding and delivering the first Brexit, which meant that the UK basically gave away its right to turn away people from its borders. We were basically saying, oh, yeah. Pauline Flynn, I agree with you. I mean, this is, Jed, I think the essence of the conversation that you'll see tomorrow, folks, if you go over to Rumble or on the Hard Truth podcast channel. I'm increasingly of the view that democracy is a complete...
It's over and done with, David. I think we lost democracy in the early 2000s. Voting now doesn't change. Like I've just explained, you used to vote for Tories because it was low taxes. You used to vote for Labour because everything was for free. But now they are both the same. So there isn't a red and a blue, there's a pink.
And I think that's exactly the same, Jed. And that's the same in the States as well. You've got Republicans, you've got Democrats, and a lot of people, think that there's a vast difference between them. There's not. And if I'm not saying that there are, I'm not, this is, by the way, not me saying I support Democrats. I'm just saying that democracy itself is becoming increasingly illusionary. Donny Girl says we need another tea party. Yeah, but
I don't drink the tea, Donny Girl, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, and I drink coffee, but it's empty. The old coffee is empty. So if anyone wants to buy me a coffee, you can do that one.
Can I just say I'm sorry to the guys on Gettr for not getting some of your comments up, but there's so many comments and so many points being raised. It's difficult to grab them and paste them across. So apologies for Gettr, guys.
But just to say, I see every comment, guys, that you make. So. As is always, it's part of the pleasure of doing this stream to see your comments. Donny Girl says she drinks both. I drink both as well, Donny Girl. Actually, I drink tea and coffee. But a Republican rocker puts it well here, Jed, where he says democracy is on a respirator. And mind you, if that's anything like the respirators that we had during COVID,
I think it's on remdesivir.
Yeah, I think it's on remdesivir as well, actually, to be honest. But it does show you that the World Health Organization imposing this or trying to get this put away. It's global governance. It's what it is. It's one world government. We should call it out for what I think we're entitled to be able to say that. It's our opinion.
Do you know, David? I used to think, these people that they used to call the preppers.
Yep.
They go off and they build a wood cabin in the woods, particularly in America, where you can go into a woods and you're actually hundreds and hundreds of miles away from people. And they just live there, so, self-sufficient. They go out, they hunt, and they have a great life. Do you know, I've really considered that in this country. Finding an island somewhere, with a population of 1 or 2 and just pitching a tent and living there. Because I'm just fed up of the constant lies from politicians, the constant restrictions on my life, what I can't do, what I can do. It's getting to me.
I think, Jed, that's a common feeling, a common thing that many of us will share during right up until the end of 2021, when the COVID tyranny was maxing itself out. And it felt like the only way out of this is going to be to move away from wherever we are individually and find an island somewhere where we can be apart from the whole this mess that is a festering, dying democracy and a flourishing tyranny, which takes away bodily autonomy. I felt like that as well. I wonder if anyone else shares that feeling that Jed and I have. I've spoken to people, privately, and they've said exactly the same thing. We don't see how we're going to beat this, but we want to separate from it. And of course, for those of you with a religious angle to it, that's what the Bible says you should do. Come you out and be you separate from them. I'm sure some of you guys will be aware of that. So Jason says, let's buy Iceland. Why do you want to buy a frozen food chain, Jason O'Brien?
Exactly. I mean, the food there, you can get 100 burgers for £1. Iceland.
Yeah. But think how many polar bears had to die for that. Actually, Iceland's not a bad country. I've been to Iceland. It's pretty good. Not a lot. Once you've seen Iceland once, mind you probably don't want to see it twice. But that's where we go. So look, folks, we have come to the end of our time.
I've got something special though for all our viewers.
Yeah,
I have, and I think it's on. I think it's on this doomsday. We've lost democracy, climate change, all that sort of. I think I've got something here just before you finish, and if I can play it, and then we'll finish if you don't mind, David. So, guys, we do try and finish on a funny one, or something that's just absolutely lunatic. And I found something today. So just have a look at this, and then I'm sure the comments will go absolutely nuts, and we'll close the show. But here we go. Yep, here we go. Right, guys, I've cut that short, but these are the lunatics that tell you that climate change is real and the world is going to end. That was a cauliflower on the floor.
That's right.
A cauliflower that they put a woolen hat over and captured it and arrested it.
Yeah.
And they tell us to follow the science.
Exactly. And because people like that exist, people like us have to exist as well. And we have to push back on all of these people. Pauline Flynn is right. They are absolute nutters, Jed. We have to laugh at them. We have to mock them. We do it across the piece. We do it here on a Monday night. We do it on a Wednesday night. If you join us tomorrow night on our podcast channel, we'll do it then as well. And we will never be backing down. So on the note of the arresting of a cauliflower in Trafalgar Square, which is what I just witnessed, and the insanity of the left, here we are, the same people, and we're trying to make sure that we put across sanity. Jed, thank you so much for being here with us, and thanks for organizing all of this. Thank everyone over on the different platforms. Thank you for being part of this. Really appreciate your comments and your time. Thanks for supporting us here on the platform. And if you want to buy me a coffee, this is your last chance. The link is below. And as I say, the cup is empty. What am I going to do? So I'll leave that thought with you. But thanks, by the way, for everything. And we'll catch up with you guys soon. Thank you so much for everything. And that's it for us. Bye.
Good night, everybody. Take care.